Hi, Kirsten Schuder. I'm author of Inside Dweller Genesis. It's the first in the series, and I'm also co-author of Farming Industrial Hemp, Not Your Daddy's Tobacco. I started out with writing as a hobby, basically for years, like all my life. I wrote poetry. I used to wake up with like poetic inspirations when I was younger, like in the middle of the night, and so it's something that I had always enjoyed, and then I decided to take a leap. After so many years of writing this and that, and then I started publishing articles with my husband. We started out publishing photography articles, and a lot of these articles were not paid, but that was okay. I got to see my name in print, and it made me happy. I got to write some articles, and they came out really well, and so that encouraged me. And then eventually we started writing other articles together, such as like sports, and mental game, and that was a lot of fun to do with my husband. But then, I wanted to strike it on my own. So I started writing mental health articles. I had gotten some work after I got my master's degree in mental health counseling. And, and then I had the story idea. Now, my mental health counseling degree gave me the courage to try a book length work. Before that, I wasn't even really sure if I could do that. A thesis was a great way to practice. Mine was about 100 pages. So then, adding more on the page count at that point didn't seem like a really big deal anymore. So I wrote Inside Dweller. It's been out for about a year. So I still do a mix. I write personal essays, I write fiction, I write short stories, I write articles, and I'm loving it all. And it's a lot of fun for me. I realize writing, may not be everybody's favorite thing, but I started out with writing as a hobby, and then it blossomed into a career that was, that's just been completely awesome. 3 months after Farming Industrial Hemp, Not Your Daddy's Tobacco, had come out, it won an international award. We influenced Congress with the book, and a lot of the same wording that we had was included almost word for word in the types of pesticides that you could use for industrial hemp. So that really launched and opened up a lot of opportunities for me. It launched my my writing career. Whereas before that I had dabbled and was a hobbyist and did a whole bunch of things. Now, if you're interested in taking your hobby of writing to the next level and maybe earning some income, I have some tips for you. Number one, it helps to really focus and specialize, right? So say you're dabbling in short stories, and you would like to start submitting to places that actually pay you, and that's an option. It's a rare person who actually makes a living off their short stories. However, getting your short stories published in various publications can actually open up like a lot of doors for you. Some literary agents read a lot of these short story publications, and they might actually like look for clients that way. So writing short stories is like a great way to, get into like a fictional career if you want to become a novelist or things like that. But, if you want to supplement your income on a steadier basis, there are some jobs available for writers. The internet's opened up some opportunities for writers to see their works published, their articles and article ideas and everything like that. And that's actually a lot of fun. So if you really wanted to, you could expand out and write some nonfiction articles. And it's a lot of fun to see your name in print. And on top of that, if you do nonfiction work, you're more apt, I think, to get paid and, be able to earn a steadier income. In my experience, other people could, experience it a different way. So if you're looking to expand your writing habit into part-time income, just, it really, I have a lot of trouble with this, but it really does help decide what you want to expand into and hone your skills, and then go for that one thing. With my for example, when I earned my degree in mental health counseling, my master's of science, I was able to take that and get quite a bit of work online, to write mental health articles. And that was a lot of fun. I got to earn a bit of an income, and it gave me more visibility in terms of, people, like reading my works and learning my name. So that was really awesome. That was a lot of fun. Since then, I have other jobs that are a little bit more reliable. For instance, I'm a reading teacher and a college tutor. But again, I sort of have like a dual identity when it comes to authorship. I still write very strongly in nonfiction. And that's how I basically got my start. So another project that I'm working on is in college writing, because it's kind of what I'm doing. So, and I have some good advice to share. So, number one, choose your specialty. Number two, get feedback. Now, this is where writing as a hobby differs from other types of hobbies. Writing as a hobby is wonderful. One of my authors, I'm also a literary agent. One of my authors started out with writing for years as a hobby. Just basically for most of his adult life. And then when he retired, he had the time to put into his novel, and he got his first novel out. He placed it with my agency. I was with a different agency at the time. And it's been quite a ride for him, because he came out, he has like 4 books. He's published 3. One of them became a bestseller, and he's happy. He says it's beyond his wildest dreams. He has another whole career now after retirement, and he feels blessed and fulfilled. So, but the thing is that I had him get feedback for his work, right? And that's really a step that you have to take if you're going to take your writing as a hobby and then expand out, maybe earning some income, or maybe looking for publication. You really, it's absolutely necessary to get that feedback, because when you write, you have no one around to tell you where your mistakes are, and it can't be someone who actually likes you a lot. Actually, it should be someone who doesn't really know you, because every person who gives you feedback, like other people who are authors and looking for the same thing you are, getting published, we all bring different skills to the table. So the more feedback you get, the better it is. It's either that, or you can find an editor. Now there are like a lot of editors who used to work for big publishing houses like Random House. A lot of them are really, they're worth their weight in salt, because they can help you get your work into really good publishable shape. Whatever you do, get that feedback. It's very, very important. The other thing you could do is just look for part-time work. Maybe they have an editor who you can learn from, and also be open to that feedback. It could be a little daunting, because sometimes when people give feedback, they don't have a lot of interpersonal communication skills, so they might say it in ways that could be a little offensive. But my suggestion is just like a duck, let it roll like water off your back, and they might have something valuable to say, but maybe they said it in the wrong way. Ignore it. You always have the chance to ignore feedback. But it's to your detriment if you get it too much into the habit, like, they don't know what they're talking about. Well, everybody has something where they know what they're talking about. So even if they don't say it in the most productive way, after you do a little self-talk, like, that person, they're just not very skilled, then you can take a look at their point. Like, well, maybe they have a point. Maybe I need to rework this character's dialogue a little bit. There's always something you can learn from someone else. So again, two ways. You can get a editor, with a good reputation, or you can get feedback like through beta readers, writer's circle, something of that extent. For instance, I belong to Critique Circle. It's an actual website, and you give feedback, then you get points so that you could get feedback, and you can work with that. And then another way to get feedback is through a writer's circle. I have another author who swears by his writer's circle. He follows everything they suggest, because he trusts them. And that's the nice thing about working with a writer's circle. If you're lucky enough to find one where you can go to and appraise each other's works and everything like that, it's really great when you have someone who you could trust. So if you're lucky enough to find one and get into it, you make sure you do everything you can to stay in it, because it's hard to find. But in the meantime, the internet actually has a lot. They offer a lot of options. So find a service like Critique Circle, and where you can have a free account, and you can post your work and give feedback on other works, and build your online community. And that's a good way to do it. So the third thing that I could recommend, if you're going to look for ways to bring your hobby and turn it into part-time income is, believe it or not, accept and do free work. And you might be thinking, but Kirsten, the whole point of me finding work is to get paid. What are you saying? Don't worry, because there's an end game in mind. At first, your very first opportunities may be free work that they agree to publish your stuff, and in exchange, you give them your work, and they don't have to pay for it. But what that's doing is it's help building your reputation. And as an author, I mean, once you expand out from, the safe little hobby space, and you expand into publication, well, the whole part of the publication process is that the author must get known, or the publication must get known by as many people as possible in order to be successful. As a writer, this is the business side now. As a writer, you're actually producing product for the publishing company to promote and share around. They use regular media channels. A lot of times they use social media to get the word out there. And you as an author, a lot of times, might be asked to shoulder some of that responsibility and use your social network channels to get the word out and bring some more attention to that publication. So, there's a business side to it. You have to get the word out there, but it may become, it's increasingly a necessary part, even if you're pursuing part-time opportunities. So, and those are my top 3 tips for bringing your writing hobby into part-time income. But the number 1 rule I have is that to have fun the whole way. Never let it get to the point where it becomes a burden, and you'll never know where it's going to take you. I just, for example, I just had for the book debut, we attended a Comic-Con last summer, and it was a wonderful learning experience, and we sat for almost the entirety of the whole show, and I learned a lot. And one of the things I learned was that for some reason, wrestlers think that they've wrestled my husband, and they think he's an ex-wrestler. We have no idea why. But so that was very funny. We had this one guy come over to him and say, oh yeah, well, I wrestled you. And my husband's like, no, I didn't. But no, it taught me about audiences, and what it takes to really sit through one of those events for 3 days. It can get pretty demanding, but if you love it, then it's not work. So you don't want to ever leave behind the fun from the hobby part. You want to make sure that your hobby that has expanded and blossomed into a part-time career, or maybe even full-time career one day, remains fun and a learning experience. And if you have a nice open mind and open heart, you just never know where your passion is going to take you. So thank you for listening. Keep your eye out for Inside Dweller, and I hope you have a wonderful time writing.